Hey everybody, happy Monday, happy day one of at-home learning. I thought it would only be appropriate to wear everybody's favorite color, mustard, today for my very first video. You know that I don't like watching myself on camera, so while you are gonna watch me read aloud, I will never watch these videos ever for all of time. So I just kind of want you to keep that in mind. We might have some visitors. The cat's already been in here. I've tried to kind of keep myself away from everybody else during read aloud time, but you guys know how that goes. So I felt like we needed to finish the Friendship War because I've got another book that I'm really excited to start with you afterwards. So we are going to pick up on chapter 15 where we last left off. The chapter's called Long Distance. The button is kind of like a sailboat. It's kind of neat. So let's get this going. Ooh, I forgot. This was the chapter that is kind of written in text. So this is a text to Grandpa. You there, Grandpa? Yep. How are you? Good. You? All good here. Picked the last of the tomatoes all afternoon. Sitting down now. Feels great. So I've got a question about buttons. What a surprise. Wink, wink. Shoot. Do you think Grandma kept any buttons around the house? You still have some of her stuff, right? Grandpa? Sorry, yes, I still have all her things. Maybe in her upstairs sitting room. Haven't been there for quite some time. Oh, well, never mind. I've got plenty of buttons. I took a picture last week of the ones we have here in our house, and then yesterday I went with this boy named Hank to a thrift shop, and we found a huge tin of buttons, all from one family, over a long time. So I'm kind of interested in comparing. Here's a pic I took of our Hanlon family buttons. I'm guessing that's these. And then here's a bunch from the thrift store. And that's these. Oh, the whole chapter's in text. Holy cow. Okay. Interesting, huh? Very. Sort of like little graveyards. When a button drops off, you pop it into the graveyard. That's way too gloomy, Grandpa. But yeah, I get that. Still, I'd just call each group a collection. Collection, final resting place, graveyard, pretty much all the same thing. Just being accurate, Gracie. But mostly gloomy and sad. I can hear your voice when we text. You know that, right? Maybe let's call them time capsules. I like that. A family buttons time capsule. Yes, much nicer. This Hank fella, would I approve? Definitely. Even Dad likes him. Well, that's quite impressive. Details, if you don't mind. You remember Ellie, right? Of course, the unforgettable Miss Emerson. Well, we're not best friends anymore, or even friends at all. And Hank used to be on her approved list, but then he totally ditched her and stuck with me instead. That's about all there is to it. I like him already. He's really smart, collects butterflies and moths, and now buttons, diving deep. 14 monarch butterflies passed through our garden 3 days ago after you left, going to Mexico, and it'll take them 2 or 3 generations to even get there. Always so amazing. Your grandmother planted these 4 purple butterfly bushes along the garden fence, remember? The monarchs and the swallowtails can't resist the blooms. Such a treat, even now. I hear your voice again, Grandpa. I'm sorry you still miss her so much. Me too. Yes, you too. I'm glad my neighbors don't live close because they'd hear me talking to her now and then. And the way you hear my voice when we text, well, I can hear hers too. And guess what? She tells me the same things you do. Stop being sad, keep being grateful. And that self-pity nonsense, knock it off. Ha! I can hear her saying that too. But things are better. That old mill building is just what I need right now. I've got my first big meetings with contractors coming up this week, and I can't wait to send you the specs for the solar panels I'm installing on the roof. Wonderful progress. And not as much time to be sad. I'm so glad. I love that place. You know what that building was like before you got hold of it? A graveyard. Ha! Good one. You got me back. How about your week? Big stuff coming there? Projects? Reports? Holding hands with Hank? So funny, Grandpa. No, nothing much coming this week. Except this buttons thing. It turned into this huge fad at school. Totally goofy. And I have no idea where it's all going. Well, wherever it goes, I have this hunch that you'll be right in the middle of it. Take good notes and keep me in the loop. Is your giant cache of buttons still a secret? You, me, Mom, Dad, Ben. That's it. I won't tell a soul. Good. I love you, Grandpa. I love you too, Gracie. Have a happy night. And you take good notes too. And keep me in the loop about our mill building, okay? Will do. I promise. Good night. Night. That was pretty cool. I love how close she is with her grandpa. If my grandmother knew how to text, I'd text her all the time, but bless her heart, 99, a woman's not going to learn how to text. Okay, we have visitor number 1, guys. Tiny, say hi to everybody. Say, hey, kids. Hey there. Have you ever met a cat that hates to be held? That's her. All right. But she'll probably cuddle up right here with me while we read chapter 16, which is called Easier. And a cute little flower button. Not as cute as Tiny, but oh, cat hair in my mouth. Guys, really? Oh. Okay, chapter 16, Easier. You're kind of quiet this morning. Just thinking. I can tell that Mom wants me to talk more, but I know she's not going to push it. She's good with silence. And anyway, if I talk to her, well, I don't think she'd like what I have to say. I'm still kind of stuck on graveyards, ever since I texted with Grandpa last night. He was so sad about Grandma. When I asked Mom if she would drive me this morning, she said, sure, no questions asked. I wanted to avoid the scene on the bus. I feel like gangs of button maniacs would pounce on me, looking for trades. Of course, I don't actually know if buttons are even still a thing. Maybe over the weekend, everybody decided buttons are dumb. Maybe there's some new fad I don't know about, some online craze that lit up the screens, blasting the buttons out of every single kid's head. And right back into all the little button graveyards. So, where do you think Grandma is right now? Mom smiles a little, her eyes on the traffic. But it's like my question doesn't surprise her one bit. I don't know, Grace. Not for sure. If you're asking me if your grandmother is still herself, still somewhere, then I would say yes, I believe she is. But I do know that the same way I know the sun comes up every morning. No, I don't really know it like that. Then how come you believe she's still herself? Are you saying that you think Grandma's still alive, but somewhere else? Like heaven? We're backed up at a stoplight now, moving ahead only a little with each green signal. And Mom is thinking before she answers me. I don't recall if I've ever told you this before. I was about 20 years old and in one of my college courses, and the professor asked the whole class to close our eyes and sit very still. And then she asked, is it possible for you to imagine that the world you've known your whole life isn't there anymore? And I decided I could imagine that. No problem. Then she said, is it possible for you to imagine that your physical body is not sitting in a chair in some classroom? That your body isn't really anywhere in this world at all? And again, that was pretty easy for me to imagine. And then she asked, is it possible for you to imagine that the part of you that is doing all this imagining could just stop it and never think anything at all ever again? And after about a minute of sitting there thinking, I decided I could not imagine that. Not at all. Those are some weird questions. I agree. It turned out that our professor was borrowing them from a philosopher named Descartes, and we went on to study a lot of his writings, but I never forgot that moment. And I believe that Grandma is still herself, still thinking, still loving you and Ben and your dad and me and Grandpa. So you're saying people don't really die when they die? Well, I'm saying that I think I can see how that would be possible. Do I know it for sure? No. And I guess I won't completely know any of this for sure until that moment when I die, or rather when I don't die, when I figure out that I haven't stopped thinking or stopped being myself. Where I will be at that moment or what any of that will be like, I have no idea. Not yet. So this is a theory. Correct. A theory. I'm quiet and the traffic starts moving again. Mom reaches over and pats my arm. Pretty deep thoughts for a sunny Monday morning. Yeah, sorry. Don't apologize. I love the way you think and think and think. Always have, always will. Thanks. We have another quiet stretch before her next question. Did I hear you tell Dad that you and Ellie are having some troubles? Uh-huh, at least for right now. I'm sorry to hear that. You two have been friends for a long time. Yeah. I don't say more because I don't know if there's anything else to say, but I do think of a question. Of all the kids you knew back when you were in 6th grade, are any of them still your friends? No, not a single one. My family moved from Ohio to Massachusetts, and then from Massachusetts to Illinois, and then back to a different town in Massachusetts, all before I graduated from high school. It's hard to keep in touch with school friends. I know I could track down some of them now if I wanted to, but once you lose contact, there are fewer reasons to pick up the threads again. And I was out of high school before Facebook and texting and all that came along. Now it's a lot easier. Yeah, totally. Easier. Easier is a very nice idea. There are about 100 things that I wish would get easier right now, right this second. Except wishing was not scientific. Isn't that Hank Powell standing there near the door? We're pulling into the drop-off area in front of school, and Mom's right. That's him. Well, say hello to him for me, will you? Sure. And have a wonderful day, Grace. You know how you're always telling your father to stop worrying? Well, take your own advice, okay? Okay. Thanks for the ride. You're welcome. I love you, Grace. I love you too. Bye. Bye. As the car pulls away, Hank sees me and waves, a smile on his face. I smile back, partly just to be friendly, but there's another reason for my smile. I can see that walking into the school this morning is going to be better than I thought it would be. It's going to be easier. What do you think, guys? One more chapter? I don't know. I probably need to get dinner going. Yeah, let's do one more chapter. It's not that long. All right, chapter 17 is called The Catalyst, which is a big word. And there's a really cool button with a lightning bolt on it. I made 6 fantastic trades on the bus. These are Hank's first words of the new week. Not hi, not great to see you, not how are you. So I guess the buttons thing is still going strong, at least for him. I've never seen Hank so totally hyper. On Friday, I saw some guys who had made these bunches of buttons with little twist ties, so I made myself 20 of them using some of the junky buttons we found on Saturday, like duplicates and stuff. Yeah, I noticed those kids too. So anyway, this morning I was looking for anything special in the bunches they had. Sometimes just one button out of a whole set, and if I spotted a good one, then I would offer to trade 2 bunches for 1 bunch, just to get that particular button. And it worked like magic. But the best part? After I take the 1 button I want from a bunch, then I add an extra button to fill it back up, and then just like that I've got another bunch of 10 to trade with. Pretty great, huh? I nod, but I'm also doing math in my head, because what Hank just described makes a really neat equation. 20 bunches minus the 2 bunches he trades leaves 18, but then he adds 1 bunch back, which makes 19, minus the next 2 bunches leaves 17, but then he adds 1 back to make 18, and so on, all the way down to 1 last single bunch left. There's a special name for that kind of math progression. Maybe recursive? Hank says, right now I've still got 14 bunches left and I've already made 6 trades and 3 of my new buttons are amazing. I'm going to be able to trade 2 bunches for 1 bunch 19 times. Isn't that great? It is. Really smart. Hank's got me grinning now. I can't help it. Ben went nuts about his new clarinet, and Grandpa was excited about the old mill, but Hank is almost exploding. He takes a deep breath, and he looks embarrassed. I hope there wasn't some weird look on my face just now to make him feel that way. He calms himself down, almost serious. But I'm going to have to cool it till after homeroom. Mr. Scott has a new rule. No buttons in his room. So remember that before you go to language arts. What about you? Got any button plans for today? Not really, but I'll keep my eyes open. That's what I say, but the truth is that I'm just not into the buttons thing today. But I'm very curious to see what's up with the fad, and I promised Grandpa I'd take good notes. We head toward the 6th grade hall, and the first thing I notice is that those boys don't have any button bunches hooked onto their belts today. The bunches are on short loops of cord now, which makes sense. All those clumps hanging everywhere, way too awkward. I also spot 5 different groups of 2nd and 3rd grade kids along the corridor comparing handfuls of buttons and trading, which means button fever is spreading to the younger grades. Your little sister, what grade is she in now? A groan from Hank. 3rd. I finally convinced my mom that I had to have a lock on my door. Hannah is driving me nuts. Has she claimed some of the family buttons so that she can bring them to school? Is she into collecting like you are? No way. Not interested. She's more of a mad scientist type. Last week she pulled the heads and the arms and legs off of 5 of her dolls so she could switch them all around onto the different bodies. My mom got pretty freaked out, but I told her not to worry. It's actually a smart way to mix up a boring doll collection. Now she's got 5 new little Frankenstein dolls. That gets me laughing, and then I try to recall if Ellie ever made me laugh like this. Yes, only not as often. Do I want to compare Hank with Ellie? No, but it keeps happening, which makes me wish I could stop observing my own thinking, which only makes me think more. Hank's been thinking too. How many different kinds of buttons can we identify? So far, I've only seen one actual collector, me. I'm calling myself a hunter-gatherer. Then there are kids like that guy. He points at a boy swinging a shoelace loop that must be loaded with 40 or 50 bunches of buttons. I'd call him a getter, someone who just wants more. Well, how about traders? Kids who like making the deals more than they like the buttons themselves. Hank nods. Absolutely. Traders are a definite species. And I've also spotted 3 or 4 color nuts, kids who mostly go after one particular color. He smiles. And then there are the metalheads. Right, and the military metalheads are a subspecies. Then, trying not to sound too cautious, I say, how about Ellie? What's her category? Maybe a crafter? On account of the stuff she's making? But when Ellie got us all to bring buttons to lunch, well, that's what really got things moving. And then the first bracelet she made last week, that got a ton of kids hooked. Might have to call Ellie a trendsetter, which means a lot of the other kids are followers. I'm a little scared to ask this, but I say it anyway. So, what would you call me? You? He has to pause, and I'm worried that I've put him on the spot, that he thinks I'm trying to be cute, or that I'm only... I've got it. You are the catalyst. Except that's not a category because there's only one catalyst. You started everything. And when you gave away those buttons last week after lunch, that was pivotal. Without you, none of this would be happening. I wouldn't be collecting, and I wouldn't know what Bakelite is or how it got used to make fantastic Art Deco buttons. I wouldn't even know what Art Deco means. Neither do I. Catalyst. I like that. I like it so much, I almost blush. It's a word I know from chemistry. A catalyst releases energy. Add the right catalyst and a process speeds up, like a solid turning to a liquid or a liquid separating into different gases. Of course, a catalyst can also make everything burst into flames and destroy a whole lab. So, yeah, Grace, the catalyst. We stop beside the art room bulletin boards because Hank has to turn here to head for Mr. Scott's homeroom. I think he wants to say something, so I wait. And I'm right. See you at lunch, okay? Okay. And listen, don't let Ellie bug you today. She thinks she runs everything, but she doesn't. You're 10 times smarter than she's ever been. 10 times nicer, too. He says the last bit with half a smile. Thanks, and I smile back. Then Hank walks his way, and I walk mine. So, did my face tell Hank that I needed cheering up? Because I really did, and what he just said worked. I feel better. But as I get closer to Mrs. Lang's room, the feeling evaporates. I'm not ready for today, not ready to deal with Ellie, not ready for the whole button circus. I wish it would all go away. I don't even care anymore that wishing isn't scientific. Still, unless I totally chicken out and run for the nurse's office, I know I'm stuck. Because the one sure thing about a school day, well, once it starts, it just keeps going. And mine begins with homeroom, right now. That seems like a pretty good cliffhanger for today. Tiny, did you enjoy the book? Let me give you guys a good little picture of Tiny here. Tiny, did you enjoy the book today? So, how was homework, everybody? Hopefully it wasn't too bad. Sorry. It wasn't supposed to be bad. We tried to pick some really fun activities, so I hope you got those done. Everybody at my house got homework done for today, except me. I did not get any homework done, other than maybe responding to a couple of your parents' emails. Went to the grocery to try to get frozen and canned goods. Nothing was there. So there's that. So yeah, we're going to be eating lots of junk food, at least for the next couple days. But my kids seem pretty happy about that. So, all right, guys. Well, I'm going to sign off for today. Tomorrow we will read some more. I'm looking forward to reading with you. If you want to chat with me, your parents have my phone number. You guys can email me. We've got some Facebook Messenger going on with our class too, so hopefully we can all stay in touch over the next couple weeks while we're all tucked in cozy at our houses, okay? All right, miss you guys. See you tomorrow.